everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So I'm going to be stitching a little bit differently today. I always say I try to avoid closing stuff in, but I ended up doing the top of the peacock's wing here first, and then filling in the sky. So yeah, I ended up closed in a little bit, but yeah, that's just the way it worked out. Okay. But still trying to not skip around, and I'll sort of close in there from either side. So yeah, I often say I adjust my stitching when the pattern calls for it. So I am the only one in my house who's awake right now. The teenager is sleeping until late, as they tend to do. My husband has his holidays from work, so he's being lazy as well. Yeah, it is another smoky day out there. So, fortunately though, last time I discovered that the stitching still showed okay. I was a little worried it was going to look rather orange because the light outside is kind of orangey, but it turned out okay. I finally got to have my appointment with the audiologist today. Been waiting since June. Yeah, he said I don't have any hearing loss. In fact, my hearing is above average, which I'm not surprised. I've always been the person who says, you know, can't you hear that? And people say, hear what? And yeah, it's the sound of a, you know, electronic running or something. Yeah, so yeah, he said sometimes the effects from ear infections can take a few months to resolve themselves. And I had mine beginning of June, and since it has been improving over the last few weeks, thank goodness, he said, yeah, probably it will continue to improve until that buzzing is completely gone. So, because yeah, it's dropped to an almost imperceptible level now. Sort of have to be in an extremely quiet room to hear it, and yeah. So he said sometimes what happens is because of the infection, things don't work as well in there, and then basically says your brain sort of turns up the sensitivity to try to compensate for it, and that can result in the buzzing and humming sounds. So, but yeah, fortunately it has gotten much better. Said yeah, with the very slight drop at certain pitches is because I've only noticed it really when I'm wearing headphones, and it's not quite even in volume from both sides, but other than that, yeah, it's been fine. So that's good. And yeah, well, I was saying to my husband the other day, even if there's nothing the doctor can do, I'm at the point where I can live with it now. It's so mild now, but yeah, when it first started, it was torturous. I could hear it constantly, even with other sounds going on, and yeah, kept me from sleeping. I had to start using brown noise, and even then it was sometimes not so good. So, but yeah, so thankfully things seem to be on the mend. Yeah, because I was kind of concerned I might need to get an ear tube at some point, but it seems like thankfully that won't be the case. Okay, I'm going to park right here. So it's a bit of a longer carry on the back, but then this way I don't have to cross as I go to end up there. So crossing as you go, I find, uses a bit more thread. So it kind of works out to about the same. And I'm going to be, of course, stitching over that carry on the back there. So yeah, I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, and he confirmed something I already knew is that my left ear canal has a weird shape. Because yeah, he sometimes was having a hard time getting the probes and things to stay in that ear. I said, yeah, I have problems with that one, and earplugs too, they tend to come right back out. So but yeah, glad to hear there's no major hearing loss or anything like that, so. Everything's looking healthy. All right, so again, not very many colors in this area, so we should make some good progress, I would think. Yeah, so it was funny. Last week my husband helped one of his coworkers move, and that guy, he's a big Ghostbusters fan, so he had a proton pack that yeah, he bought, somebody made with, it was pretty cool. Like, wasn't just the outside, you could take things apart and pull out parts and stuff, and yeah, it was really neat. Yeah, and he had Star Trek stuff too, so a fellow nerd. Yeah, he's one of their new DJs, because my husband works at, he's the engineer at a radio station, so. But yeah, it was pretty funny because he said, he was telling a story one time, he had a video he made, and he said, you know, the other day he said I was pulling on some pants, and I felt like there's something in the leg, and I thought, you know, like, is it a sock or something? He says, so I, you know, reach in and pull it out, and it was a little garden snake. And he shows it sitting in a box. He says, yeah, so now you all have seen my trouser snake. Yeah, he's a funny guy. Yeah, he's the new guy because the guy who previously did that job, he moved away. So yeah, they had to find a new DJ, but yeah, he's funny. Yeah, my husband kind of wanted one of those proton packs now. But yeah, it was custom made for him, and it wasn't cheap. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, so I purposely chose a short little piece here because then I wanted to be able to start from this side and yeah, work my way over. Let me see. How long is the one I have parked here? Not too long. Okay, it's gonna run out, so. So again, parking it a little further away, but I don't want to cross as I go, so that's why I'm doing that. There's a method to my madness. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it was wild. In the middle of the night, I woke up, my eye was scratched feeling, and yeah, I had a eyelash in it again, so I had to rinse it out in the middle of the night. But still red, but it's a bit better now. Yeah, who knows how long it was stuck there while I was sleeping. So, yeah, I tried to do all the paler stuff here at the top first, because I don't think that would show as well on camera. So hopefully these colors I'm using now are good enough that you can see them, because was all white and ecru, which is really hard to see on white fabric. So yeah, like I said, hopefully you can all see this. There's going to be some more darker colors as I work my way down to meet the top of the peacock's wing there. Yeah, on this design there's just a ton of sky. There's no getting around that. Okay, I can see that I have 2 threads parked on either end of this color here. Okay, and this one's really short, yeah. Okay, so just enough for 1 stitch. That works. Yeah, I may have to stitch some sky on camera in the upcoming month, just because there is so much of it before we reach that garden wall, but it is slightly darker bit of sky, so hopefully it should show nicely enough for you all. All right, I'm gonna head back over to the left again. So usually I work downwards, but I've been kind of working almost more in rows lately. Like I say, I just adjust as necessary. So we'll see how long it is before my my guys get up, my husband and son. Well, I might have slept in a little later too, but I had my audiology appointment earlier in the morning, and I've been waiting like 6 weeks to get in, so yeah. I was not going to risk missing that. Yeah, so like I said, I'm keeping my appointment with the ear, nose, and throat specialist, but I probably don't really need it anymore, but keep it just in case things take a downward turn again. Because, you know, knowing my luck, I'll cancel it and then it comes back with a vengeance the next day or something. Then, yeah. With specialists, if you cancel, that appointment gets snapped right up very quickly. But yeah, I'm not surprised the hearing test showed I have above average hearing. I hear stuff a lot of people don't. Oh, like somebody told me they don't hear the bubbles popping in a glass of soda. And I'm like, how can you not hear that? It's so loud. Like, they said, well, they would have to focus on it to actually hear it. I'm like, oh, I can hear it no matter what. Like, my husband will come into the room with a carbonated drink, and I'll immediately know he has it before I see it because I can hear it bubbling away. Yeah, I remember when I was in high school and I was in band, and we went to a band competition out of town to another school, and there was one hallway, and one of the fluorescent lights or something must have been like misaligned, and it made this horrible high-pitched like shrieking noise, and like it was so bad I could actually like feel it on my eardrum, almost like it felt like somebody was shoving something in my ear, and nobody else could hear it. they all look at me. I was crazy because I was cringing and, you know, clapping a hand over my ear to try and block the noise. And everyone's like, what? And I'm like, how can you not hear that? Like, it was such an obnoxious, loud squeal. And yeah, no one else could hear it. Oh. Yeah, certain electronic stuff, they make a very specific kind of noise. Okay. Yeah, my son had a bit of a speech delay, and so of course they wanted to check how his hearing is. And oh, I said his hearing is fine, because I said he'll hear me unwrapping a candy from across the house and come running to see if he can have one too. So yeah, you would never know it now, though. He is a big chatterbox. Maybe not quite as much the last, you know, couple of years, but that's being a teenager, right? Yeah. Yeah, hard to believe he is 16. Yeah, so my husband's aunt made it over from Hungary. She's visiting my in-laws. They're in the next province for a bit, and then they're going to all drive out here to see us. So, yeah, poor thing, her luggage got lost. And she doesn't speak basically any English, so yeah. Hopefully it can be located. Yeah, she had only one suitcase and they lost it, so oops. Yeah, my husband had once. They lost his, but they did find it a couple of days later, so yeah. And he said, like, he always makes sure he never checks anything that's irreplaceable. Yeah, it's just clothes, so. Yeah, anything of sentimental value, you keep it in your carry-on. Okay, so yeah, I'll see how much I get filled in here. Like I said, I estimated 18% by the end of August, and we are definitely on track to make that. So we've got just over 0.25% left, oops, to make that, so that should be no problem. I'll try to make sure I make some videos for you guys for beginning of September, because I'm going to be busy dealing with my apple harvest. I usually would be dealing with it about, you know, this time, but we're going to have family visiting, so it's going to have to wait. It's okay, because since I'm making juice out of the apples, if they are waiting a little longer, it won't be a problem. But yeah, I don't kind of want to start the process and then have family come to visit. I have to take a break. Once I get started, I like to finish it. I like to do it until it is done, especially because it makes my kitchen very sticky. Because no matter how much you try to contain it, when you're running the juicer, you know, splashes of juice fly out and yeah, go over the walls, the floor, and I cover them with, you know, but there's still only so much you can do. It makes a mess no matter what. And the only way to clean it is I have to get down on my hands and knees with a bucket of soapy water and scrub it. sometimes a couple of times. I tried regular mop and bucket. Steam mop was useless for that. Yeah. Steam mop is only good for, you know, regular maintenance for the, yeah. If it's a really big mess, yeah, it's not going to cut it, so. Yeah, although I will have fewer apples to deal with since that tree did break again. There's only about half of it left now. Yeah, we lost about a third a couple of years ago when it broke, and then, yeah, it's now about half done, so. Yeah, the new tree is producing quite well. We planted that in 2014, and it finally started producing a couple of years ago, so. Yeah, I was a little worried it was never going to make any apples because we didn't get anything, not even tiny little ones. And then, but when it decided to start producing, it produced full-size, baseball-sized apples, so, yeah. Yeah, because I was a little concerned because they said usually 3 to 5 years, you know, and ours took about 7 to 8 years to start producing, so. It was on its own timetable, but I said, I don't know, maybe they meant 3 to 5 years if it's bigger. We bought it, it was quite small. The trunk was like that big around, and it was only like 2.5 feet high, so yeah. And now the trunk is about like, oh, I'm not even sure. Like thick as a good sized salami, I would say. So. Maybe a mayonnaise jar. Something like that. But anyway, yeah. And now it's coming up to the roof line of the house. We have a 2-story house, so yeah. Oh, not bad for $50. Yeah. Yeah, I tried taking cuttings from my old tree, but they wouldn't take root. And I tried burying some cores, but I'm guessing it was one of those where the seeds are they're not fertile. So, because that happens a lot with, you know, hybrids and stuff. So, yeah, that didn't work either. So, I figured give it a shot, but yeah, it didn't happen. So, yeah, I had to go. And then I was shopping at the hardware store, and I happened to see it in the garden section. I didn't even know until then what the variety of apple was called that we have on our tree. But then I saw the picture and went, oh yeah, the picture of the fruit that it's supposed to produce is exactly the same in the tree. The leaves and everything look the same, so then I knew, yeah, it's Goodland. So, yeah, they're not so good for eating on their own. They're very sour, but they're really good for making juice or baking or jam. Yeah, because then it's not too sweet. I add a little bit of sugar, but yeah. It's not necessary, it's just to taste. With jam, it's important to use enough because it's one of the preservatives, but yeah, with juice, it's completely personal preference, and you can can it without any sugar. Yeah, my sister-in-law, she tried making some apple juice with the crab apples, and she tried drinking some when it wasn't, there was no sugar in it. Yeah, she said it was like as bad as biting into a lemon. Oh dear. Oh, one guy's up. The kiddo is up. Or maybe just out to use the bathroom. Maybe he'll go back to bed, we'll see. Yeah, I have to get him to start getting onto track soon, since school will be starting in a couple of weeks. yeah, like during the summer, whatever. He can stay up when he wants and get up when he wants, but yeah, school will be starting before we know it. This summer has gone by quite quickly. Yeah, so kiddo finally gets his first paycheck soon for that temporary week of work he did. Yeah. Yeah, I said I'll show you how you can deposit it on your phone with the app now. It's like wild. I said, yeah, that was not a thing when I was a kid. I said I might even have still my old little bank book that they used to have where they would print the transactions in it. Yeah. I don't know if I finally got, destroyed those years ago because, I mean, like I'm going to need bank records from when I was, 15. Yeah, I did a big house purge a few years ago. Came out to grab his phone off the charger and now he's gone back to his room. Yeah, we do have a rule that he can't have his phone in his room past a certain time because otherwise he will stay awake all night. And screens, they keep you more awake, right? So, yeah. Okay, I think I may change it up and start crossing as I go at this point. We'll see. So yeah, stitching a bit with white, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. But I'm trying to stick to the darker blues there. Sometimes the way this is shaped, it just, yeah. So I may make a little less progress over the next couple of months, what with family coming to visit, and then I have to make my apple juice for the year, so we shall see. Okay, I'm gonna start another new strand here. Oh yeah, we're closing in on 55,000 done. 18% will be a bit beyond that, I think. After all that waiting for my hearing test, the test itself took about 15 minutes, so. But yeah, it was interesting because he said a lot of times people come in and they actually have moderate to even severe hearing loss and don't realize it. But yeah. Another knot. carry this one over here. I'll add another one later over on the left when I need it, where the other color sort of divides this. Yeah, so it turns out we are not going to BC in the fall. We were going to go for my sister-in-law's wedding reception. They got married in Ireland, and then they're having a reception for people who couldn't make it because, you know, destination wedding is not feasible for everyone. But yeah, they have to postpone that because they've just got a lot of stuff going on. So they said next year. So too bad. It would have been nice to see them, but hey. Yeah, they're the ones I mentioned. They had a Legend of Zelda themed wedding, so it was pretty awesome. So yeah, I made them a Legend of Zelda wedding announcement where it said, it's dangerous to go alone, take this, and then there's a heart between the Link and the Princess Zelda. So, and they were quite happy with it, so. Yeah, so, well, as soon as I heard you were having a Legend of Zelda wedding, of course I had to make something like that. Yeah, when lockdown first happened for the pandemic, they had all sorts of cool masks out there, and there was a Legend of Zelda one that said it's dangerous to go alone, take this, and I kind of wanted it, but then, yeah, after shipping and import fees, it was going to be like $40 for a mask. I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying that much. So with large blocks, I try to stitch sort of across the whole width at once, but sometimes it's so wide that I do need to sort of split it up somewhere, so. Okay, so I'm going to park this one shy. Then that means I have to start a new thread over here because there is a daisy symbol stitch there interrupting this. So you could choose to stitch across and just leave a gap. I like to not leave gaps. I find my finished product looks a little neater when I don't leave gaps, but it's completely a matter of personal preference. Just gonna stop for a second and look at what I think those shorter pieces I have. No, they're too short. I was thinking I maybe would add one to do those 5 stitches that are sort of there, but I won't. I'll carry this one around a bit. Oh, that's the other half. He's sneaking past me to go downstairs, probably to play some video game. Okay, 38, 40. Yeah, it's one nice thing with the Switch now. They add new levels to things expansion packs in that. So he's a game called Mud Runner, which is off-road vehicles, and you have to, deliver things to difficult places, and if you get stuck, you have to bring another vehicle to crane it out and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, they had a Breath of the Wild expansion where you could get a motorbike for Link, so of course we got it because that was pretty cool. Hate when I do that. Oh, that's why that happened. Okay, got a knot there. There we go. Yeah, because of the knot and the loop, there was the strand was suddenly an inch shorter than I expected, which is why I pulled the needle right off. Fortunately, I found that before. I had stitched further. It made it difficult to remove. Okay, new strand. Okay, where are you? Oh, I was looking for 872 instead of 827. No wonder I couldn't find it. Have to get another skein of this color out soon. are done. So there is some closing enough stitches here since I chose to do this bottom curve first, but yeah, that's fine. I knew that would happen. It's my project, so I can stitch it how I want to. Oh yeah, I saw someone was basically in a group kind of almost asking for permission to quit a project. You know, they said they'd started it and they were, 3% in, but they were just not enjoying it anymore. And I said, this is supposed to be a fun hobby, no guilt. Yeah, you'll burn yourself out on stitching pretty quick if you are trying to force, if you make it feel like work and you're trying to force yourself to stitch something you're just not feeling. And some people said too, set it aside for a while. Work on something that really does spark your interest, and maybe your inspiration to do that one will come back, or not, but either way, work on something that you enjoy working on. Yeah, there are enough chores in life. Your hobby shouldn't become one of them. I think I will join another thread down here to do these stitches. We shall see what I decide to do. Of course, and this thread may run out once I do all the ones I have highlighted here too. Not again. There we go. These colors are very similar. It's hard to tell the difference, especially I find when you're close up, which sounds, weird. Surely you'd be able to see the detail better when you're closer up, but sometimes, yeah, I find with these projects you gotta back up a bit to really see it. Yeah, like when I was working on Soulful Mediterranean Tranquility, the shadowy sides of the pillars were so purple that I was concerned, but when you backed up, yeah, it was the right color because that purple really gave it that 3D effect, which was hard to see when you're, only a few inches away from the work. So yeah, either way, I'm going to have to close some stitches in because of the way I've chosen to stitch these motifs. That's okay. Like I say, I'm not that finicky about it. Actually, I think I might see a way that I won't have to add another strand. Let's see if it works out or not. So, park this one right there. Then pick up this one. Let's see how long it is. Okay. Oh, no, that would be the wrong one. Yeah. So like I said, some stitches here get a little closed in, but not too concerned. And I find, like I say, when they're on the edges of the motif, it's less noticeable. So yeah, I just find it easier with these cases to follow the shape the colors are making than to force it to go the other way. That one I find kind of a pain, so. Okay, I'm gonna go up a bit and work my way in again. Break another new thread. I find with these big blocks, I often end up with different threads on different sides, sort of converging and dividing. It's filling in nicely. Okay, let's switch colors again. Yeah, as you can probably see from the symbols on the pattern, there's another sort of hill that's going to start sloping that way. So my work will start to slowly go back into my normal diagonal shape. Yeah, like I said, I used to try to force my stitching to stay diagonal, but I found that meant I was changing colors and such a lot more often, and it was slowing me down. So yeah, I decided to change and sort of go with the flow, and it went faster that way. So of course I know speed isn't everything, but yeah. The faster I can stitch, the more projects I can complete in my lifetime, so there is that. Darn it. Yeah, because I have projects planned for like the next 10 to 15 years, plus probably more, because I'm sure between now and then there's going to be more patterns released that I will fall in love with and just have to make. Yeah, I did a video about less than a year ago, but when I did my update, I also showed what all my upcoming projects were, and I have since added another to the list. Yeah, Garden Gate by Donna Gelsinger. I hope I said that right. From Heaven and Earth Designs, yeah. That is a very confetti heavy one. There's like no background on that at all anywhere. So, okay, I'm gonna work with the one that's already parked. Get it finished and out of my way. I have 1, 2, 2, 1 left of this color, at least until I mark this one off. Yeah. Palindrome number. Okay. One other drawback I find of when it's closing in is I have threads sort of parked above where I'm working, which I find a little more, they get in my way more than when they're below the level of my work. But that's okay. on. There we go. Yeah, it's a gloomy, cold day. I may bake some bread. Fresh baked bread, that's definitely one of my favorite things. Okay, let's see. I may just come back up here for a bit and work down again. And there's a whole whack of this color here. Okay, divide this block up again, since there's another color running through it, so just makes sense to me to put it there. Find with this sulky thread, it doesn't matter if I stitch over it. I can still remove it, but if it gets stitched over for several inches, it can be a little tougher to remove, so I try to avoid stitching over it when I can. Okay, so closing in on 300 now. Okay, again, I have two threads sort of on either side of this color, but let's see how long they are. Yeah. This one's not terribly so. thread will be just the right length for these stitches here. Okay, just making sure there wasn't a knot or a loop on the back. Kind of felt like there might be, but no, it's all good. So yeah, if there's a loop, it can work itself loose later, and then you end up with a loose stitch on the front. Don't want that. Yeah, I don't think I could have got out even one more stitch from that thread. Worked out perfectly. Oh, look at that. We're past 300. Awesome. Awesome progress today. Okay, park that there for a second. Use this thread here. Okay, I think I am going to take a break there. 314. So yeah, that went really well. So we filled in all of this. So yeah, I hope it was somewhat interesting for you. But thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.